Good day, everyone. I'm really glad that you're here. And the first thing that I want to do, which I have always started almost every class with a container. And today, what I'd like to do is just give a shout out, a quick one, to the people whose shoulders I have stood on in my 40 years of being involved in birth and midwifery. All right. So first of all, I want to acknowledge the grand midwives of the South of the United States. They were practical women who caught many, many babies, had incredible statistics. And back in the 60s, when midwifery seemed to have a resurgence, a renaissance, we were like, oh, too bad midwives have been lost. And, let's reunite the thread of midwifery. And that's not really what was going on. The grand midwives of the South had been catching babies all those years when people thought midwifery had left the planet. So a shout out to them. They were practical women who knew a lot about birth. And you know what? Their statistics, considering the people that they worked with were often very non-resourced, their statistics, I would say, are some of the best that we have ever had in this country. And it bears saying that the grand midwives of the South were not clinical practitioners. They didn't touch women. They didn't do vaginal exams. They didn't do measuring fundal height. They did palpation, massage, give you a hug, but they were not clinical. All right. And then I have to give a shout out to Michel Audin, because his work in undisturbed birth touched me from the very beginning. And I am truly a proponent of undisturbed birth, as is the matrona itself. That's our approach. And then a shout out to the women. I apprenticed for 3 years as a midwife with the midwife that helped me with my 2 children at home. And then after my apprentices with her, which was wonderful, and I learned so much, I began my real apprenticeship sitting at the feet of women. And many of the women that I worked with in the Deep South, for that's where my practice was for many years in Georgia, many of those women were having large families, and they knew how to give birth. And so I wasn't coming to them as a young midwife explaining and educating women about birth. I was going to sit at their feet. What am I going to tell a woman having her 7th baby? Okay. So I'm going to sit at her feet, and I'm going to listen, and I'm going to hear what she has to teach me. And I'm going to, I'm going to see what she tells me about how she wants me to midwife her. And so I did. All right. Okay. So actually, I'm happy to be here. And I also want to give a shout out, if we're going to talk about people who have, enhanced our practice. I want to give a shout out to our co-facilitator and dear friend, Shaconna Haley. Okay. So give us a wave, Shaconna. Say a word or two, if you will. Can't hear you.
I'm muting. Greetings, ladies. I'm so very happy to be here with my dear friend and mentor, Whapio, and her inviting me to mentor as part of this program. I'm excited to learn about all of you and your vision for your lives. And so I'll talk more later.
Thank you, my dear. All right. And I say this a lot too. I say that birth is many things to many different women. For some women, it's a very physical process. How will I ever fit anything else in me? All right. For some people, it's a very emotional. The barn doors blow open when you're pregnant. For some women, it's very spiritual and a very sacred event. For some women, it's political. For some women, it's mental, plan A, plan B. But you know what? Including all of those things and overarching all of it, birth is transformation. All right. Truly, it's transformation. And one of the reasons we've come here is that we want to enter into that transformative experience with women and facilitate it in any way we can, make it easier for them in any way we can. And so I honor that you are all here. And I also remind us all that we are holding transformation for families. Okay. Now, let's see. I started my journey to midwifery in 1981. So this is an anniversary. 2021 will be a big anniversary year. Okay. My 40 years in birth. And over that time, I have seen many changes in birth, slow. Maybe I would wish we had seen some more. But here's the big one. Women are realizing that birth is transformational, and they're showing up for the transformation. They want it, and they want a caregiver who not to manage them, and they don't want a doula who is necessarily there to take away the agony of birth. They want a caregiver, a midwife, a doula, a doctor to witness them in their transformation, because women are showing up for that. And that's new. That's different. Okay. And when I say that, I mean, not all women. A field of flowers doesn't bloom all at once, nor would we want it to. Okay. But there are many women on that vanguard of wanting transformation. And as I said, what they're looking for is a different kind of caregiver. Okay. A birth keeper, someone who isn't managing them, who doesn't make their decisions for them, but is as a facilitator. All right. And having a relationship of equity with them. Okay. This is something that I've been thinking about. And in our cohort, we want to achieve this: equality and equity. And for me, equality is treating everyone the same. And I think that probably everyone here on this call understands we treat people the same, whether you're rich or poor, or informed or not informed, or black or white. I don't think we need to get our heads around that. I think we do. All right. Not everyone, but I do think that the system itself is having a moment, getting its head around treating everyone equally. All right. But not me. I mean, that's sort of built in. I'm going for equity. I don't treat everyone the same, because everyone's not the same. Everyone's unique. And I want to treat you in a way that is unique to you. And that to me is equity. And in equity, we don't have that power dynamic. All right. In an equitable relationship, what does the mother bring to the birth? All right. Well, I could never know her as well as she knows herself. I could never know her baby. She is the true expert about her body and her baby. And I will defer to her instinctual responses, because she is the expert there. And then what do I bring to the equation? Well, years of experience in the birth realm, lots of learning. All right. Lots of experience. So I have that to bring. I may be the expert in experience about birth itself, but in an equitable relationship, I am here to help her find what she needs for a transformative and successful birth. And that's how I look at birth today. And, just to throw this in, I'm a child of the 60s, right? I was born in 1947, and during the 60s, I was in college, and I was, had a placard, and when it was all said and done, and I looked back on it, I was able to crystallize what happened there. I mean, this huge download of perception hit the planet, all right? And it hit the planet, I think, in San Francisco, because it came in on the music, and then it disseminated across the world. All right. And what was it about? It was about people claiming their autonomy. All right. People didn't want to be under anyone's rule anymore, under anyone's thumb. And you know what changed? Everything. The entire consciousness of this world changed. And here you're seeing home birth, homeschooling, home church. The financial institutions changed. The educational mores of our country changed. Sex changed. Okay. And that was the 60s. And I was there. I remember it. And you know what? I just have to say that we are in the second wave right now of autonomy, because something else is now going to change the world, and that is COVID. All right. And it's going to change who we are. And can't you see it? Can't you see that what's happening is another bid for a higher level of autonomy for each of us and equitable relationships? Yes. Okay. In the 60s, the late 60s, it came in on the music. Now it's come in on a virus. So we've got to, but it's created a whole world of people who are paying attention now. The world is going to change. All right. And we're going to change with it. And some of the things that quantum physicists have been telling us for years are going to happen now. All right. So that's why I'm saying, if you are interested in birth, now is the time to learn about birth, because birth is going to change. And women are going to be looking for a changed and changing caregiver. We are not going to participate in a monoculture of birth anymore. In other words, not everyone will be trained equally, in the sense that every birth caregiver now needs a university education. That's just not true. All right. But yet what we see is a push for some of those things. All right. Everyone gets a university style education. And we know that that's not what we need. That's not what women want. I mean, would anyone really disagree with the statement that birth is not a clinical event? Birth is an organic, authentic, transformative event in a person's life. If clinical care is desired, you shall have it. If clinical care is needed, you shall have it. Okay. But I find that the average healthy woman is not in need of management or necessarily clinical care. The grand midwives did not offer clinical care. All right. So we have a role model for that. Okay. So I have been thinking for quite a while that we need, or there's an opening here now for another person to take that journey with families. And I'm calling that person a birth keeper right now. And it's not a midwife. All right. The word midwife has been co-opted by the system. And for now, when you use the word midwife, you have to be referring to a licensed being, pretty much. And this birth keeper is not necessarily a midwife, not necessarily a doula. And here's why. Even though I kind of think that doulas are very much the new midwives, because midwives were originally women who took care of you on the holistic level, body, mind, and spirit. Okay, and so the doula's doing that now, and yay for that. But I have often thought that doulas have so much more to offer, and they oftentimes don't get involved in a pregnancy, a family's life until the end. And we really want to, women would really like to have someone involved in their pregnancy to accompany them much earlier than the last month or two. So I'm looking at the birth keeper. I'm thinking that what if we had a caregiver, all right, who really was well educated in the terms of having a midwifery education? Why? I mean, I have often said that every doula, cat out. Every doula would be served by a midwifery education. Why? Just so that you know You know, you know what's going on. You know what's in the mind of the caregiver. And I'm not suggesting that you get a, university style education. That doesn't suit the focus and the approach of the doula. All right. So here I'm thinking about a birth keepers cohort. This birth keeper. All right. This is a person who can get involved in a woman's pregnancy early on and take that journey with her throughout the entire pregnancy, postpartum. And my idea about this birth keeper is, okay, she has a midwifery education. She has an education. Thank you. Muting. She has an education whereby she knows what's in the mind of the caregiver, whether that caregiver is a doctor or a midwife. Okay. But she also has tending, all right, much more the psyche of the pregnant family. All right. Much more the psyche and the spirit of the pregnancy. So here's our birth keeper. And this is what we're offering. As a doula, you may want to take this because if you enter our birth keepers cohort, you are entering our full-on midwifery program, and you will have access to everything in our midwifery program for as long as you wish. All right. So if you enter that program, you will be getting a midwifery education. And if you've been to our website and looked at it, you realize that a midwifery education is simply not academics only. We have wisdom keeping that has topics like mediation and talking about rank and privilege and psychological rank and intuition and studying of our wounds. I mean, it's quite an amazing program. So getting back to this birth keepers cohort, I feel that a woman could use a birth keeper. All right. A family could use a birth keeper. Someone who is a neutral being. In other words, they are going to give you information every step of the way. And it's not going to be loaded to one way or another. It's not going to be loaded toward the medical model or against the medical model. It's not going to be loaded toward having a midwife versus a doctor. It's information. And the other thing that I really like about this idea of a birth keeper is that a birth keeper there's no rules. You see, there's no regulations. The only thing that we would say about a birth keeper is that you don't make families' decisions for them. You give them vast amounts of information according to what they need and want. And you hear their process, but you don't make their decision for them. And that's really simple. And that's really forward and evolutionarily thinking. Why? Because the more we make people's decisions for them, the more that blocks our ability to evolve. All right. We have to evolve as free and sovereign and autonomous beings. Do you see what I'm saying? And so I feel like what we're looking for now is equitable relationships. That's evolutionary. What we're looking for is not managing people. All right. But being with people, taking that journey with people. A woman from Brazil wrote to me once and she said, Whapio, we don't lack midwives. We lack deeply connected women who can accompany and hold space and not interfere. That's the job description, if you will, of a birth keeper, a deeply connected woman who can accompany a woman in pregnancy. You can hold a space for her, all right? And who doesn't interfere, who doesn't manage, who doesn't make decisions for her. So as a birth keeper, you are free to do whatever your family wants you to do, all right? And if they want you to come to sit with them in the hospital as a doula, well, that's part of what you can do. You see? If they don't, if they want you for postpartum care, if they don't, I mean, you're a birth keeper and you work for a family and you are at their bidding. All right. So here's the certificate I'm giving you, because I mean, what do you do with a birth keeper? I mean, who knows what that is? I feel that women could use a professional childbirth consultant. Ooh, all right. A professional, because you are what you profess to be. Knowledgeable, a fountain of knowledge, and someone who is working in equity with you, and someone who can give you neutral answers to your questions. You are a professional childbirth consultant. Now, we don't use the word counselor anymore, because what we have found is counselor is also a co-opted word. You have to have a license to be a counselor. So we're a consultant. That word is open and free. And you're a professional childbirth consultant when you come through this cohort, and family advocate. Oh, yes, this course will teach you advocacy, you see. And I feel like women would love to have wouldn't you love to have a professional childbirth consultant who worked for you and family advocate for and in all of your decisions that you make? Wow. So let me talk a little bit more about the practicalities. And then afterwards, if you have any questions about, well, what is a birth keeper? What does it do? What do these certificates enable you to do? I can talk more about that. But our midwifery program is based on 10 modules. All right. And of course, there's a linear structure. We start with pregnancy and prenatal care, and we end up with postpartum and the newborn. In that sense, we go through. All right. And each of our modules, when I set out to make this course, which I have to tell you is very deep, is very rich. All right. There are many different avenues in this course. The academics alone are incredibly solid. And then we have a whole homeopathic pillar. Okay. And honestly, homeopathy is the medicine of the future. So we want to know that. I told you we had wisdom keeping, and then we have something called holistic midwifery. In other words, we take the academia and we transfer it to how would that look in a holistic paradigm. All right. And so we have 10 modules of all of this with videos. I mean, my deal is that if you want to learn RH, there are many books that will teach you. But sometimes when someone will just explain it to you on a video, it's like, oh, I mean, I read that 3 times and it still didn't go in. But having a video, having someone talk to you and tell you what RH is or something like that, that's kind of my idea about learning academics. So there's lots of videos. There's lots of critical thinking videos. All right. And what we're going to do is this. We're going to start January 18th, and we're going to go through a year, all right, together. And we're going to go through all the modules on a fast track. You'll get each module at some point during that year. Okay. We'll go through it from 1 to 10, and we'll pick out the really important points, the salient points, the things that you really need to know. All right. And that's what we want. We want a delving into the module, knowing all of what's there, but it's not like, oh my God, you have to watch every single video of every module, do every reading lessons, every academic book. No, it's kind of not like that. Why? Because you would, I had envisioned the midwifery program as at least a 2-year program, but we're going to go through it in a year, fast track. Then you could go through it again in another year. You will have all of the material for as long as you wish. There's no time that this program ends and you can take a year off. You can take a vacation. You can come back to it in 2 years. You had twins and you need some time. So it's yours. It's there. All right. Okay, so that's the idea. We'll go through the entire program. And what I have for you is week by week study guides. All right, this would be really good to study this week. And if you do nothing else this week, do this. All right, and then this, and this. Okay, all right. And then what we're asking you in terms of the mentorship. Okay. Birth keeper. We said that. Now, what's the mentorship part like? Well, all right. A lot of your mentorship is going to come from your study group. We put you, everyone will be in a study. Everyone will be in a study group of either, 3 to 6 people, depending on your time zone and things like that. And we're asking you to make a commitment to your study group. We're asking you to have a 2-hour study group every week, once a week. Okay. And to make a commitment to those 2 hours where you will study together on Zoom. You'll bring the accumulated work you did that week to your study group. You may have different people doing different work. You may have one person watching a video on homeopathy and another person watching a video on academics, and you'll share your information in your study group each week. So we're really asking you to be committed to that. There'll also be a 2-hour Zoom meeting with Shaconna once a month. All right. And there'll be a 2-hour Zoom meeting with myself once a month. So you will have, all right, and those meetings will depend. If you have questions, you can ask and we can go over the questions. If there's a topic that's up, for me, I will choose, or Shaconna, we will choose our topic for the meetings, okay? Every now and then we throw in an extra meeting if you can make it. Meetings are recorded, all right, so that if you have a birth or something going on, you can get the recording. All right, so that is the time commitment on online that we're asking you to have. And that's about 12 to 14 hours a month. All right, as we go through these modules, see, my idea of studying birth is that it's exciting and inspiring and passionate. I never want this course to be stressful for anyone. That is not what we're looking for. There will be no assignments where you have to have 180 pages read by Friday. All right. There's nothing like that. We don't want the study of midwifery to be fraught with failure, or I can't do the work, or I'm not caught up. There's no such thing as not being caught up. You see, we're scheduling the cohort to have, a spring break and a fall break and summertime and winter, kind of like any other school program. So you'll always have some time off. You'll always have some catch-up time. But the idea is not really that you ingest every single piece of this course in 1 year. It's not possible unless this is the only thing you do. Also, I want to say this. This is not something I'm going to be doing in my spare time either. Do you know what I'm saying? We're not really looking for that. We want people who are really kind of committed. Yes, we want people who are committed to taking this program, all right, and committed to your study group and so on and so forth. All right. So, well, is there homework, and do we have tests, and is someone looking over my shoulder, and do I have to report in? No, it's not like that. Okay. That's a very linear way of education, which, has its place, of course. But I feel like as we enter this program, we are entering the realms of mystical intelligence. Okay. Now, I have found over the years that the study of anatomy and physiology without some sort of mystical undergirding is just flat. Okay. And then I have found that mysticism without some sort of intelligent undergirding is spacey, right? And I'm not flat and I'm not spacey. So I am offering a mystically intelligent approach to learning, education, and knowledge, you see. I'm looking for an approach that sees patterns rather than facts, ma'am. All right. So this is why you have a lot of leeway in how you travel through this program. We have a cohort going on right now. All right. And there are some people in it who have said, I'm blown away by the homeopathy. I'm doing all the homeopathy from lesson 1 to, module 1 to 10. That's my deal right now. I'm so on fire about homeopathy. Can you do that? Well, of course. And that's what you bring to your study group. All right. Or, and I can come back and read those, lessons from Anne Fry anytime. Okay. And I can watch those videos anytime I want. And I probably will, because some of those videos are worth watching 2 or 3 times, because you know how it is. You never get the whole picture in one watching. All right. So you have a certain amount of freedom in this program, provided that you keep your commitments to the study group and to, watch what we present, Shaconna and I present to you. Then, all right, so what do we do? No homework? Well, there are little tests peppered into the class, but those are simply for you, all right, to check your knowledge. We are not requiring you to turn in any papers. In fact, we're not requiring you to write a paper. Why? Because we don't write to our clients. We talk to them. So our assignments, I think, are very simple. We ask you to make a couple of 3 to 4 minute videos and post them in our intuitive journal. One of the parts of the class is we have a section for your intuitive journal. And everyone can post there, and everyone can read everyone else's posts. So that way you get to know other people in other study groups, and some very nice relationships have been formed between study groups and things like that. So there'll be a place for you that is yours on this course where you publish, well, not really publish, but where you put some of your intuitive responses and reactions and epiphanies and what I'm dealing with this time. And what do you think about this? Do you see what I'm saying? That there is a connection between not only one study group, but different study groups. Then I ask you to make little videos. Well, you know what I mean? We speak to clients, so practice articulating. And I give you topics. One of them will usually be from academics. So explain blood pressure to your grandma, all right, in 3 minutes. Yeah, you can do that. And if you can do that, then you know what you're talking about. All right, explain brain waves to a pregnant mom. All right, explain different things. You see what I'm saying? Explain RH to your study group. All right. That's what I'm doing. I'm explaining RH to you because I want to know that I can explain RH factor succinctly and intelligently. All right. See what I'm saying? So this is what we're asking you to do. Post your epiphanies and make little videos as you go along from module to module to module. All right. Rather than write a paper or take a test. Now, who is this program for? Let me just say this because it's up. Well, this is a perfect program for doulas. I mean, think about it. What an education you'll get. You'll have the information for as long as you want. It will certainly up your game as a doula, right? To know all of this stuff. If you want to be a midwife, well, this program is perfect for independent midwives. All right. And are there independent midwives who practice outside of the licensing system? Well, of course there are. Women don't want a monoculture of birth and everybody practicing the same. Women don't want to be told who they can and cannot have as a caregiver. I mean, this is what I'm saying. We are moving into an age now of upping the ante with autonomy. I don't want somebody to tell me that you can't be my caregiver. When did we learn that we can't take care of each other? Okay. You see, this is coming and you're on the vanguard of that. So get yourself armed. You know what I'm saying? Get yourself armed with a birthing wisdom and knowledge, all the knowledge you can. All right. So doulas, I got your program. Okay. Midwives, we need independent midwifery is going to be available again. All right. Because women don't want a monoculture of birth. Every midwife trained the same way to manage you. We're seeing more and more institutionalized midwifery, and that is turning women off. Okay? It really is. And women are looking for caregivers who are knowledgeable, experienced, but they don't need to manage me. We don't lack midwives. We lack deeply connected women who can accompany, hold space, and not interfere. So says Laura Campagna from Brazil. Okay. So midwives, this would be perfect entry-level midwifery program. And then there's the birth keeper, that person between the midwife and the doula. All right. Here you go. And that's why we're calling it. And of course, every doula is a birth keeper. Every midwife is a birth keeper. But we're being very specific now with if you come into this program and you want a professional childbirth consultant and family advocate certificate, well, you will have to, you'll have to do the work for that. We have to know that you have, gone through your mediation training in the and all of the wisdom keeping stuff that applies to that. So what else is going to happen? Well, then if you let us know after you're into the program for a while that you want to this, that, or the other thing, Shaconna and I will mentor you toward that goal. You see, you will have somebody who will, be relevant in your life about saying, if you want this goal, these are the things that, you will want to know. And then at the end of the program, we will give you a certificate for hours studied in holistic birth and midwifery. All right. You will claim that. You keep track of your hours approximately. And then you will claim the certificate that you wish. You will claim, I want a certificate as a professional childbirth consultant, family advocate. I want a certificate as a, advanced doula. I want a certificate as, I want my degree in midwifery. Okay. Go another year and I'll be able to give you a degree in midwifery. You see? All right. So and when would you stop learning anyway? All right. So there's that. All right. Have I said anything? Have I said anything? Everything, Shaconna? Is there anything else we need to talk to folks about this cohort? Okay.
I think for the most part, I think we've covered everything. It'd be like just the nuances of setup and that kind of thing, but.
Okay. So I'm reiterating that we want you to love this program. I'm reiterating that it is a full-on solid midwifery education for the independent midwife, for the, extraordinary doula, or the birth keeper who comes sort of in the middle of those things. All right. Maybe I'll expand a little bit on my thoughts about birth keeping. Well, as a birth keeper, you do childbirth education if you want to. Wouldn't that be great? Oh, and I forgot to mention that one of your requirements for claiming your certificates will be, we haven't asked you to do a lot. We want you to enjoy the program, but we want you to have something at the end that you can say here. And that would be your very own childbirth education class. And it doesn't matter how you set it up. You can set it up weekly, 8 weeks. You can do a weekend in Costa Rica. I don't care. You can do whatever you want, but you end the program with a completed childbirth education course that you could begin to offer to your community right there. You leave the program with something in your hand and you can start signing up clients, teaching, whatever you want to do. Are you a doula? I wouldn't say that you were a doula as a professional childbirth consultant. I think they are two different things. Why? Because doulas have many different guidelines in terms of what their scope of practice is. Many doulas can't do this and must do that and so on. And here's what I think, the more rules you have, the more you'll be ruled. So the only guideline you have is you don't You don't make other people's decisions for them. All right. So if you want to be someone's doula or go to their birth with them, well, of course, but that's not who you are. And that's not who you're going to the birth with. You're going to the birth as a family advocate. You're hired by the family to advocate for them every step of the way. What does that look like? Something that actually it looks like something that most doulas do not do. All right. They don't necessarily advocate for you with the medical model, but your family advocate does. That's why you hired her. And of course, her first instinct for you is that the dad speaks up and the dad advocates for his partner, of course. But if not, you have a family advocate who's with you to kind of keep you on your path. All right. And keep you possibly from interventions. You don't practice medicine. I mean, you do need to be licensed to practice medicine. All right. And you don't really practice midwifery. You're not a midwife. Okay. Because as I said, midwifery is a co-opted word. And if you're a midwife, you need to present a license. Just like if you're a doctor, you need to present your license. Okay. But that doesn't stop you from giving people all kinds of knowledge and information. So here's one of the big ones that comes up. Well, does that mean that what if a family asks me to just sit with them during their birth and no other caregiver? Can I sit with someone in an unassisted birth? I don't know if you want to. And if you don't want to, it's not written in that that's a no-no, nor is it written in that you should do that if someone asks you. This is you. There are no guidelines except you do not make people's decisions for them. Does that make sense? Okay, I hope I'm presenting this in a way that you truly understand. Because there are many women out there who want to make their own decisions. They have instinctual responses. Your biggest thing is to elevate her instinctual responses. Okay, all right, rather than to say, oh, I don't think that'll work. Or no, what you really need to think about is this, and maybe you should do that. That's not where we're at. Okay. I mean, I want us to evolve. I'm getting old and I want us to evolve. Okay, while I'm still here. I want to be able to fly. All right. And
I feel
okay, so I'm counting on you, all right? Because the more we manage people, the less we are moving into evolution, okay? We don't need to do that, you see, not manage grown adults, all right? And I feel like we have this lament about, well, how come so many people can't manage themselves? Well, that's because there's too many other people managing them and they get used to being managed, you see? There's nothing wrong with all of a sudden after figuring something out. All right, and obviously, we are not necessarily talking about someone who's having an emergency, all right? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about how a woman and family want to put together their birth. How do they find what they need to have a transformative experience? You can help them. All right. You can help them with that because all the stuff you know. Okay. So, let me do a few more practicalities and then we'll open the room to any kind of questions or discussion. Okay. First of all, the Matrona is a nonprofit. We've been a nonprofit since 2004, and our mission is to educate any and all people about birth. Okay, that's it. So, as part of a nonprofit, I can offer you this program for $3,000. Okay, that is really good. Okay, so it's $3,000 to take the cohort, and remember, you have a material for perpetuity. All right. Unfortunately, we do not have payment plans. We don't have payment plans, but there are payment plans out there. We do our billing and whatnot through PayPal, and some PayPal offers their own credit plan. Many of our students have a credit plan with PayPal or someone else, or you have to be creative. All right. Christmas is coming. You can ask for money. All right. So anyway, we do use textbooks. All right. And if you are especially interested in that, and by the way, if you want to go for the professional childbirth consultant, Shaconna and I are going to assume that you know your academics. Okay, as well, that you understand. Maybe you don't have to know every single nuance of fetal testing, but for heaven's sakes, you know what's out there. Okay, you can always review it. You can always look it back up again, but you understand that there are many types of fetal testing and when they're used and why. All right. You want to be able to talk intelligently about Rh negative, an Rh negative woman who says, I've heard so many different things. And my caregiver says that, you understand the physiology of it. You see, you can explain it, and you don't make a person's decision. You don't tell them, oh, well, you don't need that. You only need that if you're having 7 kids. You would never do that, okay? Because you're a childbirth consultant, not a childbirth manager. All right. So all right. So that's our fee is $3,000. If you've decided you want to take the course, you can pay your $3,000, and I will open the whole program to you right now so that you can get a head start. We have a few people already, 3 or 4 people already who are, going through the modules, waiting for January, but getting, watching the videos, just kind of getting a head start. If you want to, you can, as soon as you pay, I give you the course. Okay. Okay. I think that does all of the practicalities. Okay, Shaconna, how about you want to kind of lead us into some questions or whatever you have on your mind? Okay.
Well, I know. Okay. So I didn't actually say stuff about myself, but you all can read that on the website. But I've been in the birth game for 24 years. I'm also a professor. I'm a sociologist. I'm also a learning specialist, which kind of helps with when you have this type of what I'm calling a reflective autonomy, meaning this process reflects the same type of process you'll be doing with your clients, period. Because you get to understand what it is to be autonomous and self-directed in your learning, if that's not already how you are. And sometimes that's uncomfortable for people. That being said, I offer that type of guidance because I work with adult learners, et cetera, in another life. So, but I still work with adult learners because I teach at Spelman. So that's open and available to you if you need that. That being said, the structure of the groups, the study groups and all that, we'll go more over that once we begin. But let's kind of talk. So would love you to kind of ask the questions that kind of come up and through you in terms of your growth process. I mean, because I think that would be instructive and helpful for everyone. But of course, you ask what questions you want. I'm just saying, I think that helps when we kind of situate it in our own lived experience. So opening. Oh, Yandi has a question already.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Well, you kind of addressed it a little bit. You talked about, we'll talk about the groups later. That was going to be one of my first questions, is how our study groups are going to be selected. Are we going to get to pick our partners? Or are you guys going to pair us up? And then I know you said that the program is self-motivated, but will there be I know we're going to have our mentoring groups, but will there be course markers, okay, if we start in January, by March, everyone needs to have read X, Y, Z or watched X amount of video? Or are we literally let's just go and you do it, whatever?
Okay.
Go ahead, Whapio. I'll follow.
I'll start. Yes, in answer to your questions, there are certain expectations depending on your goal. All right.
Okay.
If you do not, if your goal is just to meander through the course and really, read anything that appeals to you, that's fine. If you're going for hours of, midwifery education or the family advocate, then we will have some markers set up for you. Yes. And as I said, each study group has suggested topics. All right. Okay. And then when you go into a module, it has, these are the salient points. These are the things we want you to do first. If you don't have time, you can if your time is limited, do this, 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 and this. And yes, depending on your what guidelines you set up for yourself in the program, Shaconna will be on it with you.
That part. You know the answer to that part right there.
Yeah. We was going to have our own little sidebar anyway that you was going to have me a thing. And then I guess the other thing I was wondering about from a practical standpoint, as far as like actually becoming a holistic midwife, will there be like opportunities for us to shadow home birth workers, or, will there be any practical opportunities for us to get like hours or whatever, as far as when we get past the learning part and we're, getting ready to start, like how you told us that you shadowed the midwife for however many years before you started going out on your own?
Okay, in answer to that, there's nothing that would stop you from having an apprenticeship at any time you want. In fact, we have women in the cohort who are apprenticing as they go. We started a cohort in June. All right, so that one's in full bloom. And some of those women are already, they're still keeping their doula business, but some of them are already shadowing midwives and apprenticing. We do not find that for you. All right. You have to find that yourself, because that's part of becoming a midwife, is finding your path to midwifery. All right. Mystical intelligence, what you seek seeks you.
Okay.
All right. There you go. That's the punctuation on that question.
Okay.
Anything to add?
Yeah, I just want to say, so part of your construction of, and we've already talked about this, Yandi, but part of your construction of understanding who you are and your process as a birth keeper is building your community, right?
Okay.
In that way, you will connect with who those people are. And we actually have someone who's in the group right now who made a connection through a connection and already connected. So I know that's kind of how traditional internship programs go. Oh, and who go after these businesses? Well, that can be done, but I see that as your ultimate responsibility for staying connected and not just kind of going where they are. And that's across with anything, right?
Okay.
Not that you can't get some advisement on it, but it's
right. But it's kind of up to us to make those connections anyway, and then start our own mentorship, whatever. Okay, exactly. I got you.
All right, Katie, go ahead.
Hi. I was just wondering, so I'm about 1 year into a 3-year program to become an Ayurvedic practitioner, and they have birth stuff, but obviously based out of that ideology and stuff, which doesn't always translate to the Western world. So I'm super interested in this sort of connection and mentorship program, but obviously I don't want to overwhelm myself. I work full time. I have a 3-year-old and I'm currently 6 weeks pregnant with our second, maybe twins. So I just was wondering if this was going to be something that's going to be ongoing or offered like yearly or every so often.
Well, that would depend, on, just people wanting it. I'm 73, so not that I'm planning to die anytime soon or anything. But, we're thinking about it. I would say yes. Okay. I'll just say yes. It will continue. All right. There you go.
Go ahead, Katie.
Hi. I'm just curious what you are charging per birth. I'm just trying to kind of talk to my husband about this and, kind of see what the benefits would be financially for us once this program is completed and I'm actually in the work.
Okay. And here's what I'm thinking. Right now, a professional childbirth consultant, a family advocate, just like years ago, a doula was not on everyone's, fingertips and lips.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But this is what's coming. And what I honestly see, Katie, is that the average price I think that someone would pay for someone to take that journey with them would be probably around $5,000. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And why? Because that person's going to be with you the whole time. All right. You can eventually, just like some midwives will have, be able to take insurance, a professional, you'll be certified. Okay. So that that insurance company will take that for someone who wanted to pay you. I also see this. I see that birth is going to become very family directed, not family centered, but family directed. In other words, when I say family directed, I'm saying that the family directs where they put their resources, you see? And so when we see that, and it's coming, it's not here yet, but it's coming, all right, in the sense that the family is going to say, oh, okay, so we have insurance money. Well, this is where we're going to be telling our insurance company where we want our money to go. Okay. If we have a professional childbirth consultant family advocate, we want to pay her $5,000. And then we have, a midwife on retainer. We're giving her $1,500 to be on retainer for us, or an OB on retainer for us. You're going to see this coming. It's not here right now, but eventually. In the meantime, you have a childbirth education class that you will be able to present to the community. You can do doula work. All right. Women recognize that there's such a thing as, a family advocate who could be with you for your whole pregnancy. Or a well-educated woman who may be interested even in being your only caregiver. That's it depends on, how you open to this. All right. And how the community receives you. All right.
Okay. And then do you cover in the class, like the business building and how to find clients, or is that kind of a separate?
No, of course we do. I mean, maybe we're not in the, we're not in the business of selling this as a job choice. We're also realizing that most women who go into this, it's a calling. You know what I mean? It's a vocation. It's your vocation to serve pregnant women and families. It's your vocation to be facilitating them. And so, yes, you'll do some business work, but you'll also do some spiritual business work too. What I mean?
And let me just say for that, that question comes up multiple times. There's no template for that because you are your business, right? So it's building it is really building relationship. And then the semantics of however you're going to LLC, however you're going to create that. And that'll be something that we talk about, a specific module that Whapio talks about in the process. But just however you're going to do that, the semantics of that, the kind of more formal businessy parts, that's going to be kind of your choice of which path of that you're going to take. But in the meantime, you can be aspiring to have what will be part of our class soon. I don't know. But yeah, but really be thinking, like Whapio said, spiritually about that.
And let me add this, when you graduate from this course, you're going to be, you're going to know homeopathy for the childbearing continuum, and you can put yourself up as someone who does consulting. You're going to have a knowledge of fertility. And you're going to be selling ovulenses and birthing balls to women. If you're an herbalist, you're going to be selling your products and giving classes on them. You see what I'm saying? You could be renting birth tubs. All right. And that could be lucrative for you. We want you to be a mediator. We are going to teach you how to mediate. Okay, because being able to help two people hear each other, you put that on your brochure and you will be busy. People want mediation. you know,
Okay.
and this is
There's
a
work
road
to be
I'm going to really want to get it together because am I going to have this person at my birth or not?
Mhm.
So there are all kinds of side roads that you can go through: education, products, renting tubs, consultations for fertility, breastfeeding, placenta work. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Gabriella is next.
Yes, hello.
Hi, Gabrielle.
Thank you. Hi. I hope my internet connection is good. I don't know
It's
if
good.
you're good.
Yeah.
Good. I'm very happy to be here. Very happy. And I heard then that the PayPal can give you because if I could pay monthly, I think I would be able to afford. Like I wrote, I'm from Brazil, and the currency here now is really low comparing to dollar. So it will be easier if I could afford like paying it monthly. So I just wish to hear if you know how PayPal works, if it's like you have to pay 10 times, or do you know any like?
Well, I don't really know exactly how PayPal sets it up. I'll tell you what, just message me. All right. And kind of go over ways that you could find the money.
Thank you. Yes. And I also want to say that I think it will be very good if I could be on the course, because I've been an apprentice for over 3 years.
Oh,
and
wow.
I really feel like I need to study as well to deeper, because I'm only learning in a practical way, which is beautiful. I'm very blessed. I feel very blessed because I have an older midwife that I am following, and each birth I'm learning a lot. But I do have this sense that it will be perfect if I could study as well. So I'm happy, and I feel very in tune with you. Nice. So I'm sure the universe will provide a way. So I'm just
That's right.
Yes. We'd love to have you. Okay. So we'll work it out.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Melissa, did you want to ask your question that you have in the chat?
Sure. Yes. Hi. Yeah, I know you were mentioning homeopathy, Whapio, and there's the weekend in February in Atlanta that I wanted to come out for, unless it's kind of like covered in this. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, of course it would be covered in this. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So yeah.
It's just up to me if I want to make it out there or not.
Yeah, we'll give you a discount since you're in the program and you've already taken our doula program. We'll give you a good discount, right?
Oh, awesome. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What is the deadline for signing up, or can we start late? From Amy.
Well, I think that we would like you to sign up to start with us on the 18th. We don't want to miss you. Last year we did take people who were like maybe a couple of weeks late. Okay. But, and I mean, you can sign up at any time by the morning of the 18th or something. Yes. Okay. But try to start with us if you can. Yeah.
And I would say, have your own payment plan up to January 18th, meaning you can put your money aside and your money aside and your money aside and get your gifts of money. And that can be your payment plan. It doesn't have to necessarily be that we're receiving, Matrona's receiving like the money directly, but you could just be putting your money into, like I have my one savings account. And that's how you can be like, okay, I know I have from now to January, 3 months, $1,000 a month, and half of that I'm going to ask for other people, however. But in particular, that's how you can do a payment plan that's not necessarily bound to the organization, making sure you are paying those chunks to them directly. So I know it's like an accountability thing. Yes. Oh, that's good, Nancy. She's seen people do GoFundMe or crowdsource fundraisers. That is correct.
Yeah, we had a woman whose community sent her to the program because they know that she's going to return that 10 times over when she's done. Okay, so you sometimes your community. And I also think this. I also think like how Shaconna said earlier, finding your mentor, finding someone to apprentice with, that's part of your journey, not something that someone gives you. You see what I'm saying? It's part of your journey. And so is finding the money. And I understood, if it were, $8,000 to take this program, I would understand, but it's really not. You see, you know what I mean? It's really doable. Now, and I can't say it's doable for everyone, but I know there's lots of money out there. Just ask and you shall receive. Okay, so be it. All right, who else?
Is there an application?
Oh, yes, we have an application. It's the application for our midwifery program. It's 5 questions that are meant to be self-reflective. All right. It's sometimes the application, filling out the application is more for you than for Shaconna and I, okay, because the questions are of a deep and profound nature that require your reflection. So please do it. Please do have an application for us. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Can I ask a question on the textbook front? Is that something that's covered in the 3,000, or is that something that's additional? And can you, like, how much and how many kind of thing?
Okay, it's not, no textbooks are covered. We do have we have 2 textbooks from Anne Fry, who is, one of them is Holistic Midwifery, and another one's Understanding Diagnostic Tests. If you are going to be a consultant, you will want both of those books because they are amazing. Okay, I call Anne Fry the Venerable. She sat down and wrote like a 1,200-page book on holistic midwifery for you. And then her Understanding Diagnostic Tests, 7th edition. All right. This is where you look up everything in pregnancy and birth is in this book. If you want to know, for whatever reason, the specific gravity of amniotic fluid, it's in that book. So that's your Bible. All right. And then we have 2 or 3 homeopathic books that 2 of them are not textbooks. One of them is a textbook. In other words, you're using a textbook for homeopathy. Why? Because some of the books for moms and a layperson will say, and if this happens, check with your practitioner. Well, you're the practitioner in this case, so you have a homeopathic textbook, okay? And then we have Varney for birth. Varney's Midwifery is the standard for midwifery care and examination in the U.S. So we do use her book in case you want to know the complete clinical procedures for doing things. There's a lot to be said for knowing these things. Absolutely. Bimanual compression of the uterus. Know everything. All right. Not that Fry doesn't teach that, but and then I think we have another couple of books. Human Labor and Birth is a great book on anatomy and physiology. I used to take that to birth with me for the first couple of years in case I had to look something up. So there are some textbooks, and they'll probably run you a couple $100. You don't need to have all of them right away. All right, either. That's not necessary. Okay, but yes, that's a good question. Everyone should know that. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
They're also asking about the recording, if they can share the recording with someone else, if they can receive the recording to share with someone else. Whapio, I wasn't sure how you wanted to do that. So.
Yes, okay.
Of this discussion.
Yeah, if you signed up, I have your email. I will send you the link to the recording and you can share it all day long, okay? If you would like to have a phone chat with me personally, that's really good. And in fact, it's probably one of the things that we do. And you can have a phone chat with Shaconna at any time as well, I think, right? I'm opening that up. All right, but we would like to know you before you come into class. We would like to have some grasp of what you want from this class. And it's not like we're going to say whether this class is right for you or not. If you feel it's right for you, of course, but we would like to get to know you a little bit. So I usually have always done a phone chat with everyone, myself or Shaconna.
And this is remember this mentorship. I'm answering a question. This mentorship is part of the Quantum Midwifery course. So you're doing this in alignment with. So the course that you're getting is the Quantum Midwifery course. The mentorship requirement is part of completion of that, right? So, but yes, how we structure the mentoring. If you want one-on-one outside, that will be individualistic, because some people will like, well, I'm good with the one meeting, or some people will want more structure. So that's up to you in terms of meeting with me, that is. So I will have there'll be structure, like Whapio said, the 2 hours with her, 2 hours with me in your study group. But then beyond that, that will be something that you request individually with me. And I would just say towards that end that for me, I have a very integrated approach that involves, helping you create your own study skills, navigate time management, because that becomes an issue, and then prioritizing your personal versus your professional interests. So I just look at that in a certain way, and that's really grounded in how you learn and how you will align that with your calling and your purpose. So it's an overall thing. I've been mentoring for a long time. And mentoring no matter what the field is. So it's really, that's one of the reasons Whapio is like, oh, you can mentor the people in the group. So so just being intentional help you guide you towards your own unique style of doing that, as well as keeping up with your structure of how you will be self-directed in your study. So I offer that to you, but otherwise it's the 2 hours and how we do it one-on-one will look how it looks for you individually.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right, Whapio?
Yes. And listen, we are invested in you. Shaconna and I are invested in you. We want this we want you to get what you need from this. And I know that you will. I know that if you enter this program, you will get what you need. Because frankly, I wouldn't do it for any other way. And that, signed, delivered my contract with the university. I don't want to waste anyone's time or resources. Okay. So I want to make sure that every person gets what they need, and every person that gets something different. And you may not know you got what you needed until later, but
you want your jacket?
There you go.
Yeah. Definitely this is, yes, I support the mentorship cohort. That's part of that's all part of it. So any one-on-one, that's included.
Yeah, if you came in late, the mentorship program is the same thing as the midwifery program. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's the same thing. In the mentorship, we're just going to go through it on a fast track, and then you go back and pick up what you need. All right. Yay. All right. What else you got?
How big are the study groups typically?
We try to get around 5 people to a study group. All right. And then, life is life. Sometimes people are not happy with that study group and we move people around. Sometimes we don't have enough people in sometimes we have a lot of people in one time zone, and so we do try. But I mean, in our cohort right now, the largest study group is 6. All right. We have a couple of 5s, a 4, and a couple of 3, 2 3s. So it just depends. Okay. And if you tell me what you want, you tell Shaconna what you want. You'd like to rather be in I'd like to be studying with people more who are on the page of what I want. I want to study with people who want the family advocate certificate, or something like that. We'll do our very, very best to put you in a study group that works for you, because we do not want you to be in a study group that you hated. Not that,
We want you to thrive and survive through this.
We're invested in that.
Yes, invested in you. Anyone else have questions?
When is the next one starting after January, if January doesn't work?
Well, I would say we wouldn't have another one. The idea of running 2 of them concurrently appeals to me. Okay. I would say that the next one wouldn't start before the autumn equinox. You know what I'm saying? It would be a while. All right. And you might have a different you might not have Shaconna because she will be busy in one of them, in this one until next January. We'll see. I don't know. We'll have to see. So, yeah, maybe September.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Oh, the application again, that part, I think somebody missed what you said about that, Whapio.
Okay, there's an application on our website. It's 5 questions. Like, what do you feel like you bring to the realm of midwifery, and how you think your practice is going to evolve, and what is your spiritual or psychological thoughts? Why do you want to take this program? That kind of stuff. And we would like you to do that. It's on the holistic midwifery portion of our website. Okay. Sometimes people ask me, if you have one thing to say to women, Whapio, to birth workers and to mothers, and families, what would it be? And, I used to say, and I still believe this, that, for women, all the power of the universe is running through you when you give birth. All right. Take it. But now I have changed this because I saw this meme, and it said, and I don't know who, it's on Facebook, and I don't know who it was anonymous. And it said, a woman's greatest risk in childbirth today is, and you know what it was? The choice of her caregiver. That's pretty powerful. Your caregiver, the person you choose as your caregiver has a lot of influence on how your birth unfolds. Okay. And so I would say, if I had one thing to tell pregnant women, only birth with people who are invested in you. Only birth with people who have your best interests at heart. All right. If you saw the movie, The Business of Being Born, Michel O'Donnell was in that movie. And he is a humble man. And what he said about birth was here's what he said, so non-judgmental and so humble, really. He said, when it comes to birth today, we've lost our way. Yes, no one's to blame. It just happened, but we've lost our way. We can see that. And then what does he say? He doesn't leave us there. He doesn't leave us hanging like, well, he says, what we could do would be to go back to square one. Now, square one isn't midwives. Square one is birthing with the people who really cared about you, birthing with people who were invested in you. Think about it. You years ago, women birthed with their mothers or their aunties or their sisters or people who were invested in them, or someone in your community who could be 100% invested in the birthing family. All right. So that's going to be you. You are the person that can be 100% invested in a pregnant woman. And it's sad to say, but it's true in the sense of having lost our way, that many of our caregivers, the family is not their first investment. They have a license to protect. They have colleagues to please. All right. And that's just the way it is. All right. Going back to square one. What is square one? Someone who has your best interests at heart as a birthing family. My dear ones, that would be you. So thank you. Thank you for showing up. And I would love to see some of you at our cohort in January. All right. Are we ready to close? Any last comments, questions, anything?
I have one quick question, if that's okay.
Sure.
As we pursue this certificate, can we kind of layer what we do? And by that, I mean, can we still, doula? Can we be a family advocate for one person? Can we, mix it up and just offer all of those services based on what the parent needs?
Yeah. And are you saying after the course or during the course?
Both, I guess. What will be like? Yeah.
Not too much into the rules and the guidelines. You can take it as you wish. I mean, the only thing that goes on for me is you don't make people's decisions for them, but you can do anything else you want to during the course or at any point afterwards. You create your own protocols, and they might not be like someone else's. If you want to help someone in the role of a doula, you will be guided then by the role, the regulations of a doula.
Right.
Rather be a family advocate. Well, if you're ready to claim that and step into it, of course, you are the vanguard. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, shall we close the meeting? All right. If nothing else,
Whapio?
Yes.
I had a quick question. This is Megan.
Oh, hey.
Sorry, I had to hop in the car and start driving. But I did have a question around, I know, and I support the unlicensed midwife or unlicensed midwife consultant. And I'm just looking at how do we bridge these worlds? Because I do know that there is a culture out there that can be incredibly suit happy. And I do know, I have heard of experiences of some friends of mine in the backcountry where the midwife didn't take action. And I'm just looking at that legal perspective, not a perspective, but is that something that we would have in our contract with the family of saying, I'm here to advise and not liable for anything that might go awry in the birth? I'm just looking at those practical matters, not to be informed by fear, but I'm just wanting to hold the practical of bridging the world so we can evolve.
That's a very good point. Okay. And we do address that in our class. Okay. What I would say right now is if you are very clear that you're not making anyone's decisions, then how can you be responsible for decisions that they made? Okay. You see what I'm saying? So there's that. That's why I'm very clear and rather insistent upon it. Okay. That you don't make anyone's decision. Yes, there is a evolutionary part to that, but there's also a very intelligent part to that, that you don't make people's decisions. Otherwise, you're responsible for them. Okay. We also know that there's such a thing, your Constitution has really got your back. There's the First and 14th Amendment in the Constitution that guarantee that citizens of this country are allowed to offer their goods and services. You're allowed to do that. All right. The Constitution upholds your right to offer your services as a family advocate, a professional childbirth consultant, a doula, midwife, whatever. If you want to practice, if you do not have a license to do that, or if you feel that you are in a community we living in a realm that is very, suit happy, then you would be advised not to work with the public, but to have a private membership association. In other words, the word legal refers to the things that you do with the public. The word lawful applies to the private sector. So instead of having a legal public business, or, I guess you say with business, you can have a lawful business by inviting people into your business, loving hands, or something like that, and taking them outside of the private, of the public and into the private. All right. So we call this a PMA. You can Google it. We talk a lot about it in our course. Many of young midwives today are creating their private membership association. All right. So let me speak about this just a moment more. My doctor, who was a little practice I used to have, sent me a letter and saying, we're no longer offering our services to the public. You can join our association and we will give you care. Here are the details. So doctors are doing this. A lot of people want to get out of the governmental public and practice to you the way they see fit. My practice said to me, we spend an hour, we allocate an hour for you, but we're spending 40 minutes of it on paperwork. We don't want to be involved with the government anymore. So we will not be offering care to the public, but you can join our association. Now, you could do the very same thing. Many midwives are doing the same thing. All right. We do not, you have to join our association. When you join a PMA, both parties sign away their right to sue each other. So you have that. You will sign away your right to sue them. So if they don't pay you, that's your fault. You should have vetted them. And they will sign their option to sue you away because they should have looked at you harder, or they should have, as long as you do what you say, as long as you don't make their decisions for them in a PMA, you see? Okay. So there's a way to do this just when you think it's hopeless, and that the grip of the system, here, the good old Constitution comes along. Who knew? All right. Thanks for that, Megan. It was good to hear that point.
Right. So essentially, we're just asking them to join like a PMA, and, it could be some kind of an organization, like you said, where we have potlucks every Tuesday. And if you can come, if you're either nursing or you're pregnant, and this is where something that we speak about birth, and then they're also my clients on the side. Is that essentially what I'm getting?
Yeah, but no, you're not your clients on the side, because this is perfectly lawful. All right. I know a midwife who has one and says, when you describe yourself, she says, I'm a formerly licensed midwife. I have given my license back because it doesn't serve the people that I want to work for. And so she says that she offers midwifery care as a formerly licensed midwife who now has a private membership association. All right. And you will get a lawyer to draw this up for you. Okay. It is a legal construct. There are some lawyers that this is all they do these days, because people are jumping the system, even the caregivers. Mm-hmm. All right. My practice said that they believe that in the next 5 years, 40 to 50% of doctors will now be out of the system. Yep. Having their own, what they call it, a direct care practice, directly to you, no government involvement. But these are the tenets of that. You sign away your right to sue, and you join that person's private membership association, which you can call it anything you like, and you can have any guidelines you want. You can charge money. You can have it be free. You can charge money to belong. You can charge no money to belong, but then you pay for your services. It's all lawful.
My primary care physician just sent a letter that as of November 1st, it's all straight cash only membership. She already had a lot of physicians or practitioners, I'm just going to say, already have done like a concierge membership along with insurance. Yes. But now, just as Whapio is saying, they're like, oh, I'm done with the insurance. I'm just going to deal with my clients. And my son just signed up with someone who, it does still do the insurance, but his whole membership package is like beautifully designed for, I'm here as we're talking about, and I'm vested in you. You can call me whenever you need me, and you can let me know what questions you're having about your wellness and your health, just like when they used to come to your homes, quote unquote. Right. Yeah. So, but yeah, so available and accessible, and with all integrative medicine. And, integrative medicine has been the thing now that they're trying, they kind of sell to doctors on one level, but my girlfriend tells me about that, who's a family practitioner, but she's like, that seems like a gimmick, but actually now she sees the value in it. So there's that.
See, things are changing. Okay. Mm-hmm. You're going to see more and more family directed experiences out there. And don't confuse that with family-centered. Family-centered means that a caregiver is managing your care around the family, but family-directed means that the family decides how they want care. Okay. Oh, this is so good. All right. We are stepping up our autonomy because of COVID. All right. You'll see that this is what's going to come out of. One of the things that's going to come out in the big picture of COVID is that we have become more autonomous than we even were in the late 60s. This is the second round of getting closer to evolution, all right, by people taking responsibility for their decisions, their care, things like that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Mm-hmm.
If you want, here's what I'm going to do. I will be sending the link for this meeting to everyone whose email I have. If I don't have your email, will you email me? All right, because I won't know who to send it to, or unless you, to me or Shaconna. Okay, Shaconna, you would take on that, right? If somebody needed it, yeah. So I'll send you the link. It'll be ready maybe like tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday. All right, and then you can share it. Please do. And rewatch it. And then if you have any questions, you can call myself or Shaconna, and we'll be there for you. Okay. All right. I'm ending the meeting. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
All right.
Bye. Thank you.
See you all in
Bye-bye.
January.
Hey.
Thank you.
Bye.